and welcome to Beads Jar. My name's Billy, and today's project I've designed this Swarovski and chainmail bracelet. For this project we're going to be using the 7-strand cable wire. We've got these beautiful sapphire 6mm Swarovski crystals, 2 4mm jump rings, a lobster clasp, and a bag of the 6mm jump rings to do our chainmail. Tool-wise, I've got a pair of side cutters and 2 pairs of flat nose pliers, and I've also got a little piece of leather here, which is not actually going to be in the finished project. It's just to start the chainmail off, but any kind of thread will do. Okay, let's get going. Quite straightforward and easy. We're going to take 2 of the 6mm jump rings and we're going to go through them with our leather, and I'm just going to loop that back up. As I say, this isn't going to be used in the design, it's just to start the chainmail off. So you can see I've put 2 jump rings on to the leather, and then I'm going to get my pliers and I'm going to attach another jump ring. So new jump ring coming in and going across these 2 that were already placed on there. And we're just going to close that jump ring again. So close that back together. And then I'm going to take a 4th ring and the same place I've just placed the 3rd one. And we'll close that back together. So we've got these 2 on as well as the 2 first ones. And now we're going to put another 5th jump ring on to the last 2. And then we're just going to close that again. You can really get into this, it's quite therapeutic doing the chainmail. It looks complicated, but once you've got your head around it, it's nice and straightforward. So I'm just going to support the second lot of 2 with my thumb and forefinger, and I'm just going to split those 2 top ones off either side, so they're going almost back on themselves, and then I'm pushing them so they've just gone backwards like that, and then we're just going to push those 2 up and in. So the last 2 have now split to that side, and we're going to add another jump ring through those 2 to trap that in that position. So they've folded back on themselves and then been pulled up through the centre, and then we're going to close that jump ring. Now I did notice one of those was slightly overhanging, so I'm just going to tidy that one up when I spot it. So it just wasn't quite joined together. Just want to make sure that's correct before we move on. So that was the one we've just put on, and we're going to do another one alongside that as well. And then you close that together. So now we've got 2 and our chainmail section growing here. So you're going to add another 2 onto here, just like we did at the beginning. And I would recommend pre-opening a couple more jump rings just for the next few sections. Okay, so we're back to another 2 sets. and we're going to do the same. So we're going to flop the two top ones back, and then we push them up between those two. And then the new jump ring comes in and goes across the top. And we're closing that together. And we're going to put another one alongside, so the pre-opened one we had, and we're going to go across and close. So I'll just show you one more section of that. So there's the two top ones, and we want another two on here. Just going to pre-open two, and then we're going back to flopping these down. So just push one to one side and the other to the other side, flop them back, and then push them upwards, splitting that out to the side. And your jump ring comes across the two that are behind it. And you can really start to see the chainmail growing and how it's sat together on this section. So you're going to keep going until you've got about 3 centimeters worth of chainmail, and then when you're happy that you've got that, we're just going to get one of the rings. So take away the leather that you started with, and we're just going to have one jump ring. So you have to remove one of the first ones, so we're just down to a single ring on that side, and we're going to get hold of our cable wire in readiness for starting our beaded section. Okay, so we're going to take our cable wire and put a crimp bead onto the wire. You don't have to work right at the tip, you can let that fall down a bit, and you're going to go through that jump ring, so the single one that we had on there. And then we're going to go back on ourselves, so back over and through the crimp bead again. When you're happy and that's as close to the jump ring as we can get it, you're going to use your flat nose pliers and crush that crimp bead flat. So we're just squeezing the bead flat. Check that that doesn't move at all. So that's one side, and then we're going to thread our crystals. I want 5, 10, 15, 5, 10, 15 crystals on this side of the bracelet. And when these go down, rather than cutting this tail end of wire off, which can leave a bit of a scratchy end, we're just going to put that inside the beads. So that's just going to sit inside, and that way you don't get any roughness around the connection there to them. Okay, I'm probably going to have a bit too much length, so I'm just going to remove 3 of the crystals, and I'll take 3 away from my second pile as well, so I know where I'm at. And then I'm going to attach my fastener to this end. So we're going to open one of our 4mm jump rings and connect that onto our lobster clasp, and then close that together. Really make sure it's well joined and there's no gaps, because we don't want our crimp slipping out. The crimp bead's going to go onto our cable wire, and then we're going to go through, so the crimp bead's just gone down to the beads there, through the jump ring, and then back through the crimp bead and the first 3 crystals. So my wire's just gone back down through the crimp and the first 3 crystals, and then I'm going to pull this in nice and tight. I generally like to get my pliers and hold just above the crimp, and then I can pull my loop in really neatly so it's not too large. We don't want a big loop of wire on show here. Side cutters, and we're going to cut away that excess thread. Now I haven't crimped it yet, because what I do is take the wire off first, and then you can crush your crimp bead after, and that means that the end hides inside the beads, so we're avoiding that scratchiness again. I'm just going to check on this end that I have just a single jump ring, which I believe I did have that in place. So it's this one. So I've got my jump ring there. And I'm going to take my second piece of wire and start the same way. So crimp bead goes on through that jump ring, back through the crimp bead, and then we're going to crush that with our pliers, nice and secure. And then we're threading our Swarovskis. Okay, so I've threaded my crystals on the other side of the bracelet, and then just before I finish attaching that, I'm going to open my lobster clasp and put the 4mm jump ring on this side, and then I'm going to thread the crimp bead onto the wire. So that's now sat next to the beads, and then I'm going to go through that 4mm jump ring and then take that end, so the end of the thread is going to go back through crimp bead and the first 3 beads on this side. We're just popping that one out there, and then I'm going to bring that loop right down. As I say, you can use your pliers to help you at this point to bring that right close down, because we don't want the loop of wire showing. And then we're going to trim that excess off. So side cutters, get nice and close. And then just to finish that, we're going to crush the crimp bead flat. And that is the beautiful Byzantine chainmail and Swarovski crystals. I hope you've enjoyed the project, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Feel free to leave us any comments or feedback, or if you'd like to see a particular project, let us know. Bye!